I have always had this deep urge inside me to disappear when things seem too chaotic. You know what I'm talking about, right? That feeling when everything becomes overwhelming and you just want to vanish for a while. You've all seen those disappear and make an epic comeback moments in movies and social media posts. Those romanticized versions of running away that make it look so profound and life changing. It was back in 2018, the year I would never forget in my whole damn life. Man, just thinking about it now brings back a flood of emotions. By the end of that year, I found myself in some deep water, a serious situation, or at least I thought it was. My mind was a battlefield of conflicting thoughts and emotions. After numerous arguments with myself, countless sleepless nights staring at the ceiling, and maybe one too many playlists titled Sad Vibes, I made the decision to disappear for 24 hours. Let me explain what I mean by disappeared. I went offline and chose to spend some time in solitude. It wasn't just a random decision, it was born out of a burst of anger, the kind that bubbles up from somewhere deep inside and threatens to consume you entirely. But looking back, I'm kind of glad I did it. Sometimes the best decisions come from our most desperate moments, you know? At that point in my life, I was consumed with thoughts of love, relationships, hangouts, going on tours, hanging out with friends, and all that stuff. The constant cycle of hope, disappointment, and heartbreak was exhausting. I was in my early 20s, so that makes sense now. That age when everything feels like the end of the world and your emotions are cranked up to 11. I needed to get away from everything for a moment. It was too much for me to process. The notifications, the messages, the constant reminders of what was hurting me. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to pull my Bravo 6 going dark moment, although that game hadn't even come out yet at that time. Funny how we adopt phrases from pop culture to explain our most personal experiences, isn't it? The morning I decided to go through with it, I remember standing in front of my mirror, looking at the dark circles under my eyes, wondering if anyone would even notice I was gone. I left home, telling my mom that I might be staying over at a friend's place, a simple lie that rolled off my tongue with surprising ease. But in truth, I went to a nearby building's rooftop. I took some snacks with me. Nothing fancy, just some chips, a couple of bread slices, a beer, and a bottle of water. The kind of provisions that say, I'm not planning this well, but I'm doing it anyway. There was a bit of shade there from a small water tank structure. The concrete was rough and dusty, but I didn't care. I sat there all day thinking about everything that had happened so far. The silence was both terrifying and comforting. For the first time in months, the only voice I could hear was my own. I started going down memory lane and trying to connect the dots, focusing on analysis rather than giving in to my emotions and feeling sad. It's amazing how clear your thoughts can become when there's no one else around to influence them. By the way, where I lived at that time, it was normal for someone to just appear on the rooftop of any building as long as people you knew lived there. It was one of those close-knit neighborhoods where everybody knew everybody, and personal boundaries were more of a suggestion than a rule. Nobody minded as long as you weren't bothering anyone or doing anything suspicious. Kids played cricket there, couples had secret meetings, and sometimes lost souls like me came there to find themselves. As the sun went down, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple I'd never appreciated before, I prepared to embrace the long, cold night. The city lights began to twinkle one by one, creating their own version of a starry sky. By that time, I realized it would have been a good idea to bring a coat or something. Hindsight is always 20/20, right? It gets hot during the day and cold at night, and it was nearly winter. The chill crept into my bones slowly but surely, a physical discomfort that oddly matched my emotional state. I looked at the sky and the stars, trying to find acceptance for everything. The vastness above me made my problems seem smaller somehow. My phone had been off the entire time, and I wondered if anyone had tried to reach me, if anyone was worried. But in that moment, it didn't matter. The world felt both impossibly large and incredibly small at the same time. It hit me like a revelation. Acceptance was what I had been searching for all along. Not solutions, not revenge, not even happiness, but simply the ability to accept things as they were. It sounds so simple when I say it now, but in that moment, it was like discovering fire for the first time. It was like unlocking a power within me. The sky seemed to open up, and despite the cold, I felt a warmth spreading through my chest. This was the very moment I discovered the power of acceptance, which would help me tremendously throughout my life. I discovered that I needed to accept the facts I couldn't change. The relationships that weren't meant to be, the words that couldn't be unsaid, the time that couldn't be rewound. All of it. It's a natural part of everyone's life, this struggle against the unchangeable, but few of us take the time to truly understand it. I spent the night alternating between moments of profound clarity and shivering from the cold. I watched the moon cross the sky, counted stars until I lost track, and occasionally dozed off, only to be awakened by the sound of stray dogs barking in the distance or the honking of a car in the street below. It was a one-time thing, but this knowledge came in great use to me years later when I faced even greater challenges. That's a different story, though. Might discuss it another time when I'm ready to open that particular chapter of my life. Morning came with its gentle light and the sounds of a city waking up. Birds chirped, vendors called out, and the smell of breakfast being cooked wafted up from somewhere below. My body was stiff, my stomach empty, but my mind felt lighter than it had in months. So that was my journey of disappearing for a day. After that, I returned home and handled my struggles much better. My mom asked where I'd been, and I muttered something about my friend's place being a mess. She didn't press further, probably sensing the change in me. It had risks, but I was cautious. There's a difference between being brave and being stupid, a lesson I've had to learn and relearn throughout my life. I scoped out a safe place first after making the decision. It was like a spiritual journey for me, a DIY retreat without the guidance or comfort. But with all the revelations intact, I don't encourage people to do this, especially if you live somewhere where rooftops aren't as accessible or safe as they were in my neighborhood. But if you decide to do it anyway, keep in mind what I've shared. Be safe, let someone know where you are, even if indirectly, and be prepared for the physical discomfort that comes with spiritual awakening. I would greatly appreciate if you would like to share your thoughts. Have you ever felt the need to disappear for a while? What did you do? Let me know in the comments below. See you in the next video. Bye.